And we are back in your feed for another episode of Me and My Gorgeous Husband. Once again, I'm Austin's sex-positive, straight-friendly therapist, Adam Marr. Today, I'm recording this part of our show on my phone because our producer, Mariah, has the flu, and I've been too good to miss Santa this year. In this episode, MaSean and I will discuss the importance of knowing what cocktail you are. Plus, we have an interview and game of fetish or not a fetish yet with fellow therapist Samar Porrlakani. And we will wrap everything up this week with the discussion of why taps on Grindr are the lowest form of human communication. Let's do this dang thing.
If you could be a cocktail,
Yes.
what kind of cocktail would you be?
Oh my God. I think I would be
A banana daiquiri.
Oh my
Just
God.
kidding.
That's Clary. Get out of here. That's your Bob. I'm always like, why does it smell so fruity in here? No, don't worry about it.
Just making fruit drinks. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would be a French 75.
Oh.
Right? Like, you get some liquor, you get some champagnes. That's how French people say it, right?
No. But
How do you say it, MaSean?
champagne.
How do French phones ring?
Drang. Drang.
What does a French horse say?
Oh. I can't remember. They do have different onomatopoeias.
Is that what those are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I knew though.
Lene.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah,
Nope.
I think so.
I'm going to look up French onomatopoeias.
Yeah. I once went to the DMV and the person who helped me,
Was his name Lene? Mm-mm. That's,
and I said, where did you get that name from? And she's like, funny story.
no. You're
My
this all
mom's
lie.
French and she loves horses.
You do love French 75s.
I do.
So it makes sense.
It all comes back to that. What about yourself?
I was going to make you a basil pineapple martini.
Oh, why is that?
You like pineapple a lot, and you
do.
like vodka.
I do.
And gin.
Yes.
And those are both martini things.
Yeah.
And then basil's kind of fancy.
Yeah.
You can come off as a fancy bitch.
I got people fooled.
So it all makes sense. It's a little more sophisticated than the Applebee's banana daiquiri.
Oh my God.
I don't think they sell that.
You're a well drink. $2.99 you call it.
Rude.
What cocktail would you be?
I think I would probably just be something straight up. Yeah. Likely vodka.
Honey, I've been with you for almost 11 years. Ain't nothing about you straight.
Vodka straight up. Something simple. I don't need anything mixed.
But you'd be something like delicious vodka.
Yeah. I could be a Reka.
Oh my goodness. Is that
Or a Kettle
Swedish?
One. It is, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kettle One, if
no,
you're
it's
listening.
Icelandic.
Oh, okay.
What is
Kettle One,
that?
if you're listening, we are looking for sponsors.
Yeah.
So
Today's episode of Me and My Gorgeous Husband brought to you by Kettle One.
we're already drinking it.
Yeah.
And today we are interviewing a colleague and friend of mine, Miss Samar Porrlakani.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to pick up my jaw. You called me a friend. That was so nice.
Oh, I don't want you to get too close.
Okay.
You're a friend I keep at arm's distance. Samar, we've known each other for a very long time.
5 years, exactly.
Yeah, I think in Austin time, that's like, it's like dog years. Like 35? Yes, I had to do math in my head. Humiliating. We met when we were in supervision together.
Yeah, and that actually, it'll be 5 years next month
Yeah.
when I started. Whoa.
Holy shnikes.
And I just followed you everywhere after that.
Yeah. Well, what was funny was we would do group supervision together, and I would show up, and I was the only male person and the only really openly, probably kinky, more monogamous queer person. And you slowly came out in that process of being around my orbit of queer, kinky, more
Little bit.
monogaminess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I had a choice because you straight out called me queer one time, and I remember being like, "What?" Like,
It's good to be
what?
direct.
Yeah.
I kind of have that effect on people. I'm all like, "Oh, do you realize you're queer?"
Yeah, you're like, "How do you feel about being both brown and queer?" And I was like, wait, say the second part again? Like, just totally threw me back, and then I was like, "Oh, yeah, I think so."
Yeah. So, like, in 5 years, you've become a little bit more open to identifying this way. What's that been like?
I really like not having to hide any part of myself. I think that was, so I won't get off on that, but I went to Burning Man recently, and I think a lot of people find that so life-changing because they can be radically authentic. And I was like, oh, this is like all the time for me, though. So I'm like, there's no big change here.
I think you were part of this too. We did a SAR together, right?
Yeah, the worst moment of my life in that workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the opening of that workshop,
Yes.
we did an exercise where we had to write down a sexual fantasy we have never told anyone. And then we pulled them out and read them aloud. So you just read whoever's you pulled out. And some of them were such sweet things.
They were adorable. I know mine wasn't, and I remember you knowing which one mine was, but I don't remember what I wrote.
Yeah. It was probably something about like 50% pain.
I would not be surprised.
But I remember like one was like, have a 3-way. And I was like, this is so precious to me
Cute.
because I'm such a freaky broad.
Yeah.
And I tell everyone everything and show pictures of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Summer, you're a sex positive therapist here in
am.
Austin. What do you like to work with? What do you do?
Well, I do work with most of the same people that you do, as far as
We share clients, for
yes,
sure.
that too. But like sex therapy, specifically more the area of non-monogamy, or people who are wanting to explore BDSM. I do work with clients who are like recovering from infidelity or trust betrayals, and health issues. So it's kind of all across the board.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know a lot about like dating and sex when you're living with a disability.
Yeah, or the very lack of sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Michelle.
Silence.
Oh, I was going to pull you into the conversation here.
How?
Welcome.
I'm listening.
Do you remember when Summer and I used to do sex nerd trivia together?
Yes.
In the birth of Chad Hitachi?
No, I do not remember this at all.
Summer, do you want to talk about Chad Hitachi?
I was thinking about how to prepare for this moment that I knew was coming,
Yeah.
and I couldn't remember exactly where it started. I remember sending you a photo of what was considered, later to be known as Chad Hitachi, but I don't remember if that's where it started or I've sent you that photo because you had already gotten down that path of...
No, I think you had told me you were having a sad time and you had a body pillow.
Yes.
And you were like hugging it.
Okay, so when you've been with someone and lived with someone for over a decade,
Yeah.
it is nice to get body pillows or 5-foot-long pregnancy pillows. No big deal, and it really helps you feel less alone at night.
Wow. No, that makes sense.
You should be married to Mashad. It's very, very much like living on your own. We touch fingers, and he's like, "That's enough."
I mean, everybody has limits.
That's all the human contact I can stomach for today. And so, yeah, I remember you telling me about the body pillow, and I was like, "Oh, do you put your Hitachi in there?"
Yeah, because one of them was this big U shape. That was a 5-foot-long one. I could put it around my neck, and then it just barely touched the floor. And I was like, wow, that's a lot, and spent a lot of money on that one. But
Wow.
putting the
Yeah.
Hitachi in between,
She's a size queen, Michelle.
Yeah.
no comment. But the body pillow definitely came up a lot during trivia in your
Yeah,
ways to support me, I'm sure.
Because we named it Chad Hitachi, was your
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Why Chad?
Because, girl, we had to come up with a name.
Okay. I think I'm the only person in this room that does not know what a Hitachi is.
I mean, they were born...
Mariah's face.
Does this
Just
does it
switched.
vibrate?
Oh, honey.
They came out on my birthday, so every birthday since finding out that very adorable fact, I'm like, where's my gift?
So it was originally a personal massager made by this Japanese company, and it comes to find out
tracks.
people are using it to massage a different area of their body.
I think that's what all massagers are for.
Well, this company was particularly conservative, and so they decided that they would sell their business because they could not
Oh.
I believe it was
stomach.
Japan.
Yeah,
Also-
they could not stomach the idea of selling sex toys, and another
No.
company bought it, and they're like, Hitachi, and it is like
Interesting.
the vulva's best friend.
Also,
Yes.
every time y'all said Hitachi, I was thinking hibachi,
Yeah,
and I was super confused.
and hungry.
Yeah.
Well, I just looked for the photo that I was thinking of to show you what Hitachi looks like, but I sent you a screenshot or a photo and then like remember screen capping our conversation because of your response. But it was like I had fried chicken in bed next to the body pillow and the, like Hitachi, and I was like, Friday night winning, and you're like, no.
This is the diary of a sad woman.
As a friend, we have to step in. Yeah.
This is a suicide note.
To end that with winning doesn't feel right.
I know. It's a cry for help.
Yeah.
MaSean, you have like a little game for us today.
I do.
Yes.
Do y'all want to play?
I do want to play.
All right. Today, in
Summer-
honor of your visit, Samar.
Summer had
Just
no idea.
changing your name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had no idea we're playing this, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. You don't have to. I figured since we have two sex therapists here today, Adam Marr, Samar Porrlakani, this would be really good. All right?
Yes.
So I'm going to read the name of a fetish with its definition, and you will tell me if it's an actual fetish or not a fetish in a game we call Fetish No Fetish. All right?
God, you're gonna dominate me.
I mean, in your dreams.
I do have a disclaimer, though.
Yes.
So if something here is listed as no fetish, that doesn't mean there's no one in the world that appreciates this or participates in this. It just means that I could not find that word and connect it with the definition I've given it.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, because we come in the position that if you can dream it, you can cream it.
yes.
That's a good twist on the Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
You're
So,
welcome.
Submit all complaints to willnotread.net. So here we go. Starting off. Acrotomophilia. The attraction to amputees.
Oh.
Fetish or no fetish?
That's for sure a
Fetish.
fetish.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's a fetish and a half.
Yeah, got it.
You're gonna have the upper hand because I have to think about spelling. I'm like,
Do you think I can spell? You are being far too kind. My spelling is atrocious. When I have to like write a resource down or something for a client and I can't like use my computer, I'm like, you're gonna be like, this person's helping me.
All right, moving on. Dacryphilia. The arousal caused by tears or crying.
fetish, mine for sure.
Oh, wow. You're getting somewhere.
I thought it was like an attraction to rum-based fruity drinks.
My mom has that.
That might
She
be
does.
necessary after a good cry.
She's into it.
Your mom and a banana daiquiri,
Yeah.
they are a match made in heaven.
Although she doesn't, as much as she likes daiquiris, she does not like to admit that she drinks them.
Yeah. So we're just like outing her here.
Yeah, for sure. I
So-
came home early from college one weekend, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I used my key to get into their house, and they were in the kitchen with the blender running, so they didn't hear me open the door. And when they finally saw me standing there, my mom screamed, "Fruit drinks!"
Fruit drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She's like, we're on the whole 10 right now, whatever it's called. Whole 30. What the fuck do people do nowadays?
30.
What's it called? People are,
30.
do people still do South Beach? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, I'm sure people do.
Like people who are dead?
Yeah. It's like a high-fat, no-carb situation.
Oh, God.
Pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Short-term use only.
I mean, any of that stuff is shenanigans.
All right.
Okay.
Up next, porcinophilia, the arousal of anything related to pigs.
I'm sure people are aroused.
Oh yeah, that for sure. But whether it's that word, can you spell it, please?
Oh my
Sure.
gosh.
Porcineophillia.
Now, I'm going to say, I do love a cum pig.
Exactly.
I don't think that's real.
You are correct.
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking about
So-
foods I wish I could eat, and I thought of pork skins.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, porcine products.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I knew it wasn't one, because I was like, that's too easy. Like, it's too close. They usually like to put something out there that's like just really wild and out there, and you're like, how the fuck do I
I
pronounce
know.
this?
I now want someone to do a drawing of Summer as Summer Pigakalani.
Oh, yeah. That could be
Pork
cute.
Porkakalani? Yeah.
Porkakalani. Yes. You
I've
nailed
gotten
it.
porcolani a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, where did you, how did, no.
I like
It's
it.
so phonetic. It's just intimidating, y'all.
Yeah, it'd be a cute drawing.
Yeah.
Glasses and all.
And purple hair.
Yeah. Aviophilia. Arousal of flying.
Oh. I'm going to say yes.
That feels like a yes, but I don't want to sound like I just said it because of you.
Either way.
It's not.
Really?
It's not. I know, you think it would be though, right?
Yeah,
People love to do it on planes.
they do. I think it's partly the thrill, partly like the teamwork that goes into doing it well, right? Because you have to
Yeah.
like work together as a unit to be like,
Yeah.
bump, 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 bump.
So
You
easy
have
to get caught.
Yeah.
Such a small space.
Yeah. You remember for a
It's a
while
high
there?
difficulty level.
Yeah.
there-
Every time I go in one, I'm like, how do people have sex in here?
Yeah.
You know what?
For a while, there was like a Tumblr before Tumblr got all like fucking religious on us and non-nudity, where people would take dick pics in planes and like post that on a particular Tumblr. It was great. It was just like dicks in blue water.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
All right. Here we go.
I thought you had a stroke.
My eyeballs are straining. I'm very old.
Yeah, I was like, Mashan, go towards the light. I want to get.
It's getting
I wanna
difficult.
Get money from your
Difficult
death.
to see. For mycophilia, the arousal by insects crawling or nibbling on skin.
Nibbling.
For mycophilia.
I mean, I've never heard of that, so I wouldn't know the term either way. But again, doesn't it mean it doesn't exist? I'm going to say no just because I have no
I'm gonna
other
say
idea.
yes, just to be contrary.
Ding, ding, ding.
Suck
it is a
it.
yes.
Yes.
Damn it.
Also, the first 40 times I read this, I was reading it as formicophilia, which I thought maybe was the arousal to kitchen floors in the 70s. I don't know.
Yeah. If you're really into like avocado green, you're gonna love this fetish.
Yeah. All right. How about nacrophilia, a fetish relating to harnesses?
That's such a guess.
I'm gonna go with Summer on this one. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a no.
Ah, son of a bitch. Summer, this is the last time I listened to you.
Apparently, way back in the day, knackers were people who built harnesses.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there might be a harness.
Oh,
fetish.
I mean, people are definitely
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called though, and I couldn't find it. So
My gosh.
yeah. One more.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm losing right now.
Well, you're on this podcast. I think you've already lost.
Yeah, true. There's no winning at this point. How about a basiophilia, the attraction to devices that immobilize, such as neck braces, wheelchairs, and casts?
I'm gonna go with true.
I feel like that's a true.
Absolutely real.
Yeah. You're in the medical field, so I was like, I know this little bitch.
I am. And when I see people coming at me with a neck brace or a cast, all I think is, God damn it, this is work.
You don't get around.
Nope, not
You're
at
not
all.
like, oh yeah, put that in the spank bank for later.
And that concludes our game.
Oh my goodness, thank
Fetish, no
you.
fetish.
Fetish, no fetish, and I won, of course, because I'm fabulous.
Okay.
I wasn't keeping track, but obviously.
I was.
Yeah, and Mariah was. She's letting me know right now with a thumbs up. Thank you, Mariah.
Persian Hermione Granger over here was very aware of the score.
I love that because Mariah doesn't have a mic. I can just
make up anything.
yeah, anything she's doing. Mariah, put your top back on. You're a married woman. You can't do that in here. Oh yeah, I mean, not that married. Jordan is a lucky man. Did he know he's going to be on the podcast today? He did not. Jordan, if you're listening, if you hurt her, we will come for you.
Okay.
All right, back to Summer.
Yeah.
So, Summer, can we talk a little bit about, having sex and dating with disabilities? Because I think that's something that often doesn't get talked about in our community.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a concern, especially with narcolepsy specifically, which is what I was diagnosed with in
Girl, you got to
2017.
You got to tell people what narcolepsy is.
Oh, I will.
Because they have probably like the image
coming.
of like you just like comically fall asleep.
Hollywood, thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's just like falling down, which, is not to like a slumber, but like I have collapsed, and that's the cataplexy. So to define this, which I should have written one of those down, but narcolepsy is an autoimmune disease at this point. They're saying that that's the case since it's a neurological disease that affects sleep, so it's also known as a sleep disorder. But recent studies have shown that it's got to be an autoimmune disease because what I'm missing is a lot of neurotransmitters. And the word's slipping my mind right now because that's helpful. But it's what helps us fall into REM sleep. So I'm basically
Like melatonin?
No, it's orexin. That's the word.
Oh, there we go.
So one of the symptoms is loss of concentration and memory retention. So that was proof of that.
Seconds away from snoring.
That's why you keep coming back to me for friendship.
Oh, like I forget how terrible you can be.
You're like Charlie Brown, and I am just going to pull that football every time. You gross bitch.
Well,
Terrible.
hopefully in the next 5 years I'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But basically, if it takes a quote unquote normal person, but a person without narcolepsy, 60 to 90 minutes to fall into REM sleep, it takes me anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes. And so basically I just never have quality sleep. It's like the best way I found it described is if you've been awake for 72 hours, that's my baseline. So, and then the symptoms that I think people confuse it for, cataplexy is a loss of muscle control whenever you experience any intense or high emotions. So someone shocks you, like jumps out from around the corner, I might be on the floor if I'm really upset or if I'm laughing or orgasming. That can kick in. And it can be anything from like, excessive yawning, like back to back to back to the point where it can put me to sleep. Or it could be, feeling weak, which is why I walk with a cane. But it's also, it can keep me from driving if I'm like upset in traffic, which never happens at least. But
yeah, I was going to say, without your cane, people might not assume that you're living with a disability. And that can be challenging because then people write all sorts of narratives about how your body might function or work or what's going on.
I'm
you.
anticipating the ugly note on my car because I now have like the placard for parking. And like if I get out without my cane, I'm just like do and like walk up. I'm anticipating that note. So, which is shitty, but I know people have gotten that before. I see it like viral online. It happened to my friend. So, yeah.
So what is it like dating and like having sex when you have this disability?
So to be completely honest, one of the reasons I want this to be a topic to be talked about is because it has been difficult for me. I used to be someone who like wanted to know whether I was, had sexual chemistry with someone pretty shortly after meeting them. And now it's like, that's not even on my radar. And it is because something like a kiss can kick in the cataplexy if it's a really good one. So, which will also be an indicator of whether or not I want to see you in bed. But
like, if you can make me paralyzed, then keep looking in these eyes.
Yeah, it sounds like the potential for a dangerous situation is pretty high.
Exactly. And I don't know why people don't talk about that because it's like old me who wanted to like fuck on the second or third date, if not the first.
Yeah, if you're gay,
I hope
we
my
do
mom
that.
never listens to this.
Oh, she's a contributor. She's coming in right after you. No, but if you're like a man who loves men, then we might fuck first and then go on a date. So
hey, that's how I like to do everything when I'm actually with the person. I'm like, dinner? Nah, dessert first.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I have
always.
I have a date with a frisky friend this evening, and I was like, we're gonna fuck first, and then I'm gonna like fill you with carbs.
I'm not gonna name anybody, but I definitely went to someone's house for dinner. And then when we put down the groceries to make dinner, we ended up fucking on the table, like against the table, broke the glass.
Wow,
because
damn,
the
girl.
table just got pushed into like the back glass. And then we're like, well, we might as well just keep going because we can't do anything about that right now, right? And so we kept going, and then we had pulled the table out a little, and the corner that had hit it. And then instead we just put the other corner closer to the window and then broke it again, like in another section. And we were like, okay, now we have to stop. So specifically about the cataplexy and sex part, it's not like I have immense trust built with someone that I've just met maybe 1 or 2, 3 times. But I have to have something or, at this point, I honestly don't know. I don't know what I would have to make sure that they don't take advantage of something in bed if I have a cataplexy attack or a sleep attack.
And I would imagine that is a conversation I would people too, that like, hi, you might not need to necessarily call 911 if this happens. Here's what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, medical bracelets are great for that too, which I'm not wearing one because I lost it.
Yeah, that's a really troubling duo. Are narcolepsy and cataplexy, is that the common combination, or is that just...
There's a type 1 and 2, since some people have cataplexy and others don't. I don't know if there's one that's more common than the other, but I definitely have type 1, so...
Yeah.
Which I never suspected because I was on antidepressants that kind of helped with that. And so, like, getting off antidepressants after getting diagnosed and then being like, why am I falling everywhere was interesting.
The other thing I was wondering is there's medication that can help regulate narcolepsy. Do they have anything for cataplexy?
I mean, even the narcolepsy, it's we've got the Band-Aid solution and we've got the one thing that kind of helps with it, but there's no real solution, because the one thing that you can take with narcolepsy to get good sleep is Xyrem, and that has GHB in it. So it's basically roofing yourself to sleep, which as someone who lives
Love it.
alone.
If you were a man who loved men, girl, you would not have a hard time finding a date.
Yeah, but
For
you
sure.
know, taking that, you have to take a second dose in the middle of the night, and that's when people like wake up and sleepwalk and like eat stuff and like
Drive.
trip and like I read this horror story about someone tripping in a bathroom and like breaking their tooth on the sink, and I was like, don't need that. Like, don't need my building to be on fire and for me to not be able to wake up either. So
True.
yeah.
So what advice would you give to people who are living with a disability and looking to date or hook up, have sex?
For me, it's just about transparency. Like, if I have any sort of online dating profile, it's already out there. Like, there's no way I'm going to make it to the first date if someone doesn't even understand my energy level, let alone what it's like to have sex with me.
So you have to your perspective is tell them up front, like, this
Yeah.
is what's up.
Yeah.
This is what it really might mean to connect with me.
Yeah,
And
and-
I'm worthwhile, and if you want to, get
Yeah.
on it. And if it's not for you, then
And
girl, move on.
It's a good test. It's like sexual health. If you ask about things like papers and people are like, no, I haven't been tested in a while. I don't need it. Or, like, to me, it's like your answer is what helps me gauge my interest.
Yeah.
So
If you can't even handle this conversation, how are you going to handle
Right.
the situation
yeah.
when it arises?
If I cancel on you last minute because of a spoon theory thing, like, is that something you're going to hold against me or take personally? Like, you just have to understand sometimes I really can't, no matter whether or not I want to.
Yeah, do you want to tell people what the spoon theory is?
Yes. And I can't remember who was the one who came up with it, but basically I've always explained spoons to friends, clients, like anyone who has to interact with me or wants to interact with me.
That's limited people.
Keep going. So the spoon theory, if I were to say, someone who doesn't have a chronic illness or something medical or mental that basically can be debilitating at times, if you have 20 spoons when you start in your day and I have 15 because of something like a sleep disorder, or if, you're supposed to remove a spoon from someone who's considered healthy and doesn't have anything to have to manage. But if you have 20, you're supposed to take away a spoon if you're sick. I'm sorry, multiple spoons if you're sick. Like one, if you forgot your meds, if you forgot to eat, if you had, bad sleep the night before. And then there are some people who just start lower than others. So if I were at 15 and you were at 20, everything takes a spoon. So getting out of bed can take a spoon. I always joke about showering's 2 spoons for me because my hair and the hair dye. I'm like, don't let it look like a Smurf died in your bathtub. So
Oh my gosh.
it's not something I can just do really easily.
I'm going to
But
introduce you to my friend Dry Shampoo.
Oh, yeah.
She good. She delicious.
my hair looks amazing right now. Don't be jealous. So
Too late.
Oh my gosh. I've rubbed off on you, and I'm regretting it.
no. Well, so with that spoon theory, you're supposed to manage your spoons throughout the day and see, how much you're putting out for even things like texting can be a spoon. So literally everything. And by the end of the day, if you are negative, you start negative the next day. And so that doesn't help anything at all. But yeah, I think it's a good way for me to try to explain where I'm coming from, how I'm feeling, what I'm able to do in any given day.
What do you wish, people who might be interested in someone who is living with disability, what do you wish for them to know?
I think that I wish people would be more curious. Even in their questions, I feel like a lot of it's they have an answer that they're looking for when they ask. They're like, well, I had a friend of mine actually say, how did you pull that off when they realized that I had the permit now for parking? And I was like, okay, maybe the right way to ask that was what got you to this point or what's going on in your life? If you want to be vague or if you want to be specific. But if the parking permit is what you're wondering about, saying something like, how did you pull that off was such a terrible way to put it.
You scammed the system.
Right. I'm yeah, I totally tricked my doctor into believing that I had a lifelong, debilitating disability. So, but cool. Yeah, I definitely got to park next to the restaurant. You had to park, streets away. I'm so sorry.
And I think part of this in American culture is that we tend to teach people to not notice differences, right? So if someone is living with a disability that is visible, how many times does a parent say like, oh, like don't look at them, or don't stare, don't gawk, don't interact, and the message is, don't be curious.
Yeah.
And I think that leaves a lot of people kind of in this spot of not knowing how to negotiate those conversations.
Yeah, like if a stranger came up to me, I'd be like, even as someone who is like a friend of a friend or at a party, like I don't want to talk about this all the time, and I already have to explain it to friends who maybe I haven't seen in a while, who see me approach like a party or an event with a cane, and they're like, what's going on there? And I'm like, like I just don't want to talk about this every time I leave the house as well. So the attention it gets it's a bit wild.
It's interesting to me that as people, as people, we are often encouraged to identify with like the most marginalized parts of ourselves and like live in that space, to represent that space, to be an advocate for that space. And that can get exhausting. Yeah, definitely. I do think that. I wish people would do more of their own research. Like, I mean, no matter what I do to try to educate people, like my sad OkCupid profile has links for all of this stuff, where it's like, here's a link for narcolepsy, here's a link for cataplexy, here are things that you would have to think about, like if you ever date someone. It was like a blog someone wrote about dating, and then like the messages I'll get are like, what's narcolepsy? And like, you're like, bitch, I gave you everything to go do this research on your own.
It's always like that. And it's not even, I mean, I still have people who are like, what's sex nerd trivia? And I'm like, that thing that I linked that I said that I did once upon a time on my profile. Like, people just they want us to do the labor for them.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's accurate. People often do. Yeah. Can we talk about fetish specifically? Since you both help clients with fetish and deal in that, do y'all participate in the world of fetishes? Or is that not something we can talk about?
I'm trying to, I feel like I could go, please feel free to edit this out. I'm trying to figure out how you're, like what the question means.
Oh, I mean, like, do you have your own fetishes? Do you, participate in
like how
the community?
Yeah, okay. I was like, disability specific?
I think there's an important thing to note here. Like, fetishizing people because of their disability or being a person of color, those things all are dehumanizing. So it's seeing them as only one finite piece of who they are. It's not seeing them as a whole person. And I have so many like toes dipped in like different pools that I honestly wouldn't like recognize that immediately, I think, just because it's like, oh, I'm queer and kinky and poly and Muslim and Persian and a child of immigrants and have a disability, like English second language for life. You're like the person no one can argue with,
right? Like
in America.
I will hold that card, but. I don't know if I would recognize that right away. But
let me tell you how I help people sort this out in therapy.
Please.
It's the idea that, like, if that's all they talk to you about, if that's, like, what they're excited about to talk about with you.
Yeah.
Do they objectify you without your permission? Because, I know lots of people who are marginalized who are like, oh, I actually like that in my sexuality.
Sure.
And I'm more than that. I'm not just this one piece. So
right.
Every time you text me, is it about this element of my identity?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad that you're putting it that way, because it's a good way to look at it. I don't think I've recognized it happening to me before. Definitely with things like Persian's the biggest one. Everyone's like, ooh, that's so exotic. And I'm like, yes, but there's more to that. But no one's done it with like narcolepsy or my disability or any of that, luckily. I mean, if they see me with a cane, if we're good enough friends, they might want to try hitting me with it. But like, that's just fun. That was the first time one of my partners saw me with like my new cane. He was like, "All right, let's see here.
Yeah, let's test this baby out."
Yeah.
So I mean, we're both in the world of fetishes and kinks, very much so. Mm-hmm. I love it when I have like new clients come in and they are so anxious to tell me about some fetish they might have, and they're like looking around the room and they're like,
yeah.
I kind of like feet. And I'm like, cool. Lots of people like feet. Lots of people like a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's all good, baby.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
How old were you when you realized that you were first interested in a particular type of fetish? I mean, like, at what point does that happen?
It took me a few tries, I think. Like, I discovered kink in high school when I was like 17 with my boyfriend, and he was like, look at the porn I watch, and I was like, that's like hook suspension and that's intense and like holy fuck. Yeah. But then that's what got us to start exploring, and I definitely was like topping from the bottom, and didn't really
You?
no, what? But I didn't really explore it for me then. I explored it for him. So it wasn't until kind of around the same time frame that we met, Adam, that I got back into it. Both, like, it was first professionally, and then it was like, and I think personally for sure.
It was so funny in supervision because you were like, oh, I want to help this community. I'm just going to learn a lot about it.
I'm just going to go to these parties.
Like, this bitch is a freak. I know it.
I'm going to these parties for work.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. That's the narrative she's telling. For me, I knew at a really early age, like I was watching Saved by the Bell, and the fantasies I was creating with AC Slater were very much about my fetish. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is just me.
Looking back, I can kind of be like, oh, no wonder. But, like, I was introduced to Rocky Horror at, like, 8th grade. Like, and so, like, seeing something like that, like, watching the end of the scene where they're, like, all in, like, lingerie and dancing on stage, and then they jump in the pool together and everyone's touching each other, and it's just like, okay, well, that's normal. I think theater club really helped with that. Like, drama club kids are definitely...
Were you a theater person?
Yes, I was.
What? Were you backstage?
I was mostly a crew person, yeah.
Yes, bitch. What did you do in crew? I was a crew person myself. I was a crew person myself. What were you?
Mostly, like, costumes and, like, props and stuff. It's just running around, like...
I was tall, so they made me, like, a lightsmith.
Oh.
I love that title. I did not know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah. I was like the king of the gobos, so you know.
Well, other things that I think could give me a little bit of an indicator is like my Barbies were having gangbangs like all the time. And I was like, no wonder. That's like
holy Mattel.
She like made Skipper watch.
Yeah, I had like one Ken doll, and he was like never invited.
Oh my gosh.
My mom would walk in and I'd shove them all under my bed, and I was like,
I'm just sitting here.
So,
nice.
Yeah, I think kink is definitely a part of my identity at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important piece of all this for people too, is that, like, identifying with a kink or fetish. I look at it as there's like varying degrees, right? Like some people just want to dip a toe or explore. It's something they like every now and then. And for some people, they like live the life. Like it is a part of their identity. They might be living it 24/7.
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, I think I realized how much more involved in it I was, like whether it was personally or emotionally or mentally whenever I had surgery in December. And then I couldn't do anything for like 2 months. And for someone who didn't really identify as a masochist but was dating a sadist, like I just was like, oh, I'm a baby masochist, man, you know, pain tolerance low. And I'm like, that is true. But then I started craving the pain. And then I was like, oh, I am. I better put that hat on. Like, like I wanted as much as I wanted sex.
Yeah.
And it went hand in hand a lot. So
yeah. Oh,
that was like a lot. I don't know why I said it that way. A lot, y'all.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, I thought you had another question. That's why.
I've got plenty of questions. I've got questions. How do you navigate participating in the kink community and still maintaining like a professional division?
That is a question I think I get a lot that I usually ignore because I'm like, I had to navigate that on my own and figure out what worked for me. And then when everyone's like, how do you do this? I'm like, I don't want to use the spoons to talk about this. Like, and an email random colleague I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this. I just tell people off the muscle, like in our informed consent, our first sit down, I'm like,
Same.
You're going to see me in a lot of spaces where our subcultures exist.
Yep.
Queer spaces, sex positive spaces. If that is not for you, that is okay. And I can refer you to some folks who are knowledgeable that just won't be as likely to be in those spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If that doesn't bother you, then great.
Yeah.
And then my general rule of thumb for my practice is if it is a public space, then we are all there as the public. If it is a private party, then I'm going to excuse myself for whomever might be there that might be a client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's exactly what I do. I have an informed consent. Now it's like even if you email me from my website, like it's like name, phone number, email. Are you in the kink poly burner scene, like, et cetera? Like, so it's definitely something I think about more. I think before when I first started my practice, it was a lot about like being there for these like populations no matter what. And now I'm like, but I also want to be part of it. So like having to give up that like, you know, privilege to play in public
Yeah.
was a big sacrifice that I still like feel iffy about.
I know some people go on trips, so they'll like just leave
Yeah.
the city and go like, I'm gonna go to New York and have like a
Nope.
big 2-week play week.
That's
Is that you?
actually that's actually a common practice for
times.
a lot of priests.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Catholic Church.
And then I know some people in Austin who are in the scene and also mental health professionals who just have like a small, tight-knit play group. So they're like, all right, it's just me and these 5 people, and they know what's up. They know my profession. So we just work it that way.
Yeah, I was part of a smaller thing that helped me a lot, especially because they had like a list you could refer to of all the people that were like part of it. I was like, just make sure the moment comes up when a client is like on the list and then I'm done. But like any person's like get together, party, anything, like I've got my work profile and my public, like my work that is my public profile and then my private, like friends only one. And they invite me on both so I can cross check because my clients are all blocked on my personal one. And then like at least with the work one, I can check to see, oh, if there's that many clients attending, I'm going to excuse myself. But if it's like one and who knows if they'll show up, I might try like making an appearance.
Right.
If I have the spoons, of course.
Samar, I wonder, like, what has been your experience being a like queer person of color in the worlds of kinks and fetishes?
This is the one thing that I wasn't sure how I wanted to tackle because I know you and I've talked about it.
Yeah.
I even reread a little bit of the thing that I sent you, but I
Oh my God, so Summer will send me like a manifesto, and I'll be like, okay, sounds good. The feedback I give to her often.
this one was different. It was so nice. You're like, that's a bedpost piece. And I was like,
Oh, I can't be sweet. Don't tell anyone.
sorry, I added you.
I've never seen it.
But in this one, I can't remember what post triggered it. There's definitely a link that I think was involved in that, so I can always go back and look, which doesn't matter because we're here now. But it was so much about, I really don't want to word this badly, so I'm going to think about that. But basically, I felt, my response to you was that I felt really invisible.
Yeah.
And I was like, for people who are only looked at as like, you know, villains and like in media, like why is it that we're never included in any other conversation? Like if there's some sort of, you know, event, like words, edit please.
Summer,
If there's
we're gonna slow down.
If there's a shooting or if there's a terrorist attack somewhere, I mean, Middle Eastern people, like Muslims, are all basically pointed at. And then, like, in any other conversation, I was actually rereading Emily Nagoski's book, and when she was going over statistics for women, like, Middle Eastern wasn't on there. Like, every consensus, there's nothing on there that I feel like I can check. So for as much as I feel like Islamophobia is rampant, no one's talking about us in any other way.
Yeah, and I would imagine, like in sex-positive communities, right? We are diverse communities. So people come with all sorts of political standings and beliefs, and in those communities, you might see reflections of some of that internalized racism.
Yeah.
Or
No.
racism.
We're definitely talking about it more, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people talk about it on Facebook and FetLife, and luckily the owners of the Bacchanal, which is like the Austin community kink house that people like have parties at, he's black and married to a white woman, and like they talk about race all the time because people stare at them still, and they're like, why is this still happening? So trying to even bring like diverse music by like people of color to places like Shrine, like the kink event that's held at Collect Club, instead of just like rage screamo music. So I'm
Making a
glad
place
we're
for
talking
everyone.
about it. Yeah.
Well, Summer, where can people find you if they want to like follow you and know what you're doing in the world?
Well, I would say Instagram would be the best place to find me because I barely update Facebook, but I'm on both. On Instagram, I'm Intimate Matters, one word, and then on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Austin Intimate Matters.
Yeah, and what, if any, projects do you have coming up here?
Editing all the bedpost pieces that I have not submitted, probably.
Oh my goodness.
But what I really want to be busy with is someone paying me to travel the world to talk about sex and kink. Like,
Yeah.
that would be a dream.
So you're like, Hi.
Hit me up, people.
Humans listening.
Yeah, hit me up.
Pay
There's
me.
a show like that already on Netflix, and I watched it, and I was like, it's so judgmental. Like, I think it was called like Love and Sex. It was like super basic, but it was some news anchor, and I watched the Berlin episode, and I was like, you're a judgy little cunt. Like, why don't I have this job?
Is it Yamanpour?
I don't remember her name. Like, yeah, it was like details slip, right? But that's,
Yeah.
it is. Okay.
Thank you, Mariah.
Yeah, I was like, appreciate you. But that would be what I would love to do.
Yeah, it's interesting to me when people who are not in these worlds or haven't studied them or understand them get to talk about them, because they oftentimes come at this space of like, look how bizarre it is. And
Yeah.
I'm like, bitch, it's not bizarre if you like understand it.
Yeah, I was like, how's that helpful at all? Like, I think
Yeah.
that you're trying to do us a favor by like going to Berlin and talking to people who do rope and like are into kinky things. But I'm so glad the person she was interviewing just kept shutting her down. It was great. It was so much fun to watch.
Well, Summer, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, Michelle. Thank you for being here.
You know, what else was I going to do?
Nothing. What? You gonna watch cartoons all Saturday morning? No.
Cuddle that mustache.
People are gonna think it's a sex term.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about our dog.
It's true.
Yeah.
And Mariah Gossett, you're an angel sent from heaven,
Yeah.
always on your way to hell. Thank you.
Because of you.
Michelle, speaking of Grindr,
Oh, yeah.
we were talking about something that is on our shit list in Grindr world.
What's that?
That we were talking about taps.
Oh, yeah.
So for the straight people listening, Grindr has a feature where you can literally just do the least amount of labor. You push a button and it taps the other person. And that's their way of communicating with you. Like, it's the equivalent of standing in line, someone taps you on the shoulder, and you turn around and they say
just,
nothing.
They just smile at you.
Not even. Sometimes they don't even have a picture.
Yeah, well, there's that.
And I was like, how? Like, are we that lost as people?
Yeah, on your side of the account, it's like someone tapped you. And there's like no message, of course. Yeah, I don't know if I really hate it. It's super dumb and lazy. And also, if the least amount of effort you're going to put into, I don't know, possibly getting me to have sex with you is to just push a single button and not have an ounce of conversation, then you're probably not going to do a whole lot in person either.
Yeah, you're probably going to push like one button and be done yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't get it at all.
And then like, I hate when people like message me and they give me like one word answers.
Yeah. I feel like that's more effort than a tap. Like when somebody messages you for the first time and they're like, hey, and that's it. It's super weird, but I'd even prefer that over tap.
Yeah, a tap is like, what's like one of those forms of like, you know how like man evolved?
Okay.
Yeah. So like a tap is like Cro-Magnon man.
Cro-Magnon, yeah.
Yeah. And then like sup is what's the next level?
Let's go all the way to Australopithecus.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, Australopithecus.
Right.
I see you, girl. Can you put some effort in?
Yes. At least try to be Homo sapien. And use some words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Taps. I even wrote in my profile at one point, come on, Grindr, get rid of taps already. And then I would constantly get messages from people after they tap me. Why do you not like taps? I don't get it. I'm like, okay, block. You purposely messaged me just to argue with me about taps.
Yeah.
Unnecessary. Anyway.
Grindr is kind of what you make of it, but you can definitely find a shit show on there.
Yeah, I feel like all apps, all dating apps are like that,
It's
right?
kind of like all human behavior.
Yeah, well.
We're like,
Yeah.
here's alcohol. It's delicious, and it can also make you do some really terrible things. Do what you will, humanity.
Right. Yeah, you know, you can't expect too much. I have low expectations for humanity and apps.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway. Thanks for listening to another episode of Me and My Gorgeous Husband.
I am gorgeous.
True.
Keep following along, and new episodes will be coming soon. All over your face. Yeah. Me and My Gorgeous Husband is produced by Mariah Gossett, Adam Marr of Moontower Counseling, and MaSean Fontenot.
That's me.
Yeah, that is you. Show me that beautiful butt. Tag team.
Back again.
We'll be around, I guess, next week or sometime.
Tune back in.
Who knows?